there he is. Oh, right on
Look
the
at him.
button. No. All right, I'll call this, meeting of the Mercer County Commission to order. Any additions to the agenda?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I would ask that the special assessment under other business gets moved up underneath bills.
Special assessments by bills.
Review and approve bills and special assessment?
Yeah. It goes hand in hand there.
Okay. And then I had emailed, Shanna an RFP for construction engineering services. It's a part of the road stuff. We need to do it for, federal aid projects, so we'll talk about that when Ken gets in here.
Is that listed underneath the road issues then?
It'll be listed under road issues.
Thank you.
Any other additions to the agenda or changes? Okay, if I can get a motion to approve.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Motion by Wayne, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Liza, any discussion? Seeing none, Wayne,
How vote aye?
Liza,
Aye.
Marv,
Aye.
all vote aye, that motion passes. Approval of the minutes of the February 2nd meeting,
There is one change in there.
okay,
Dan Aaron is no longer a BHG News, he is from the Hazen Star. I didn't get it corrected on your draft, but I will have it corrected when they go to publication.
Hazen Star, right?
Yeah, well,
That's what they asked me to put in there.
yeah, I'm
Is that okay?
I'm totally fine.
Okay.
Sun Central Lower Dak is the new company, but it's the Hazen Star is the paper I'm representing.
Okay.
okay.
Got it.
Any other comments or changes? If not, I'll take a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll approve the minutes.
Motion by
Are
Marv,
you gonna make that correction?
Yeah.
With corrections?
motion by Marv to approve the minutes with the correction, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Liza, any further discussion? Seeing none, Marv,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Wayne,
Aye.
I'll vote aye, that motion passes. Do you wanna talk about special assessments first, or do the review?
Sure. Last, whatever year that was, that the city of Stanton had special assessed our properties, we paid in full, the courthouse, the social service building, and the grocery store. But since the auction house, was for sale at the time, we only paid 1 year of specials. They're due again, it's $450.91 for each parcel, and there's 2 of them. So, the board, I'm just actually wondering where we should pay those out of. The last time we took it out of the CD interest fund, since that's kind of like a slush fund per se. So, whatever the board thinks, but those, they should have been on the last agenda, they were due yesterday, but Dawn said she would charge me penalty and interest on Monday.
Not gonna charge that internally,
And that's
yeah?
for the auction house, you said,
Yep.
right?
No.
What is our balance in our CD fund?
It is $92,337.44.
I'm sorry, interest, I should have said. Interest
CD
is,
interest.
CD interest is what?
Or what was your question?
You said we typically pay this out of our CD interest,
Fund,
and what's the balance in that fund?
$92,337.44.
Okay, I'm confused. I thought we paid this out of the interest on our CD. Okay,
So-
that's what I'm asking. What do we have in the interest?
$92,337.44.
Am I asking it wrong?
Well, I think we have money that's in CDs, but then the interest from it gets put in that fund.
The interest from it is deposited into 2975 is what you're looking at.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
the interest isn't recapitalized in the CD, it's
Right.
paid into that fund, so.
Right.
So what's the interest in 2975? What's the amount?
$92,337.
Yeah, that's the cash on hand.
Yep.
Okay. Wow.
That's a good.
And I know there was
good thing.
another check deposited, just.
Is that a low or high?
That's a nice one.
That's good.
We didn't catch it. What was it?
Mm-hmm.
So the total for these two would be 901.82, and there is a, I think she added it to the pile of bills, but I just wanted to bring it up.
Oh, is there a voucher?
I think she vouchered it in there, yes.
Okay, well, we'll watch.
Okay.
Okay. So we don't have to do that separate, or, well, I guess we'd have to do something to tell you where to take it from.
Yes.
right? Yep,
That was the biggest question.
okay,
I think we need a motion on that.
yes.
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we pay our special assessments on the auction house,
90182.
90182, out of our 2975 fund.
Okay. Motion by Marv, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Liza. Any discussion? Seeing no discussion, Marv,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Wayne?
How about I?
I'll vote aye. That motion passes. Review and approve bills.
I just wanna double check this, the school board meeting yesterday, they didn't, a lot of them didn't even know that there was a city hall in Beulah. He had said that they're talking about the special, or the school board election, and he had said it was gonna be held at Beulah City Hall. And I stepped in and said, do you mean the Civic Center? Cause I think that's where the elections are gonna be held.
Our election is gonna be at the Civic Center, but if they're doing a special election, it might be at the city.
They wanted it to be the same as the county.
Oh,
They have the agreement with the county, and they wanted it to be at the same time, location. So I think he just misspoke, cause he thought the city hall and the civic
At
center
the
were the same
Hazen
thing.
School Board election,
Yeah,
they're always on our primary ballot.
right. But he had just, for the June election, he had said, we'll have that held at the Beulah City Hall, like the rest of the,
Okay, no, yep, the election is
and
at
I had corrected them at the
Civic
civic center, but I
Center,
wanted to make
yeah.
sure I was right.
Yep, you're
Yeah.
right,
Yeah,
you're right.
you are.
cause in Hazen, I think they're one and the same, aren't they?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
In Beulah, they're two completely
Well, they
different
all know
buildings.
about the civic center, but apparently none of them met at the city hall.
There's also a bill in there for $530
Yeah.
and some odd cents that's going to unclaimed properties. During the last legislative session, any property that we sold at our tax foreclosure sale in November, the original owner has 90 days to put in a claim to Mercer County to get the excess proceeds, which was the $500. That previous owner was deceased, so I never sent him a letter to claim those. I mean, we don't have to send them a letter, it's kind of their job if they want the excess proceeds. But during the session, they passed it that we have to now turn it over to unclaimed properties. We used to be
Okay.
able to keep the excess proceeds in our general fund, and now we have to send it back.
So if you would've sent a letter to the estate, would that have
I don't
made a
think so.
difference?
He's been gone for he was gone before his house went up for his 3 years.
So he wasn't delinquent and then he passed away and then obviously nobody
Yeah,
paid it.
and he only owed just a few bucks on it, and nobody redeemed it either. Everything came back
Hmm.
that we sent out for the initial foreclosure process. But anyway, that's something new this year, is that we have to pay the excess proceeds to unclaimed properties.
Is that the definition of hunting? It's not a bad balance in that fund, it's just weird that it's.
When it's a positive, it's a good thing.
Yes.
The amount is like, what? Liza, I'm glad to have you back, because you're very good at numbers. We missed you in our last
Okay.
meeting.
Thank you.
Ricky Scheib resigned from P and Z. Okay, so I did I'll send this to the paper on Friday.
Okay.
If you wanna just report on it in your portfolio, that works.
Okay.
We'll have to invite more Hazen people over to the Beulah City Hall so that they know it exists.
I was kinda like, oh. Am I the only one who knows?
You're the only one that goes west.
Well, it's like I knew you guys had done some renovations
thanks to the city for renovating that. That's a nice building and it's a very much needed building, so.
Yeah, I think it's supposed to be, all the renovation's supposed to be done next week, is this last update I got.
it's-
And then our next step is to renovate stuff in City Hall. We're gonna put in,
They passed this at the last meeting too, I just need your signature on it.
we're gonna use COVID money to
Oh,
put in
okay.
interactive TV and stuff like that,
In City Hall?
yeah.
This is just about our maintenance stuff,
Yep.
right?
The annual thing that
They put out,
Yeah.
okay,
thank you, dear.
thank you.
I'm surprised they listed that.
So this is the one that you were talking about, right?
Those are the specials, yep.
Yeah, okay.
As long as we're looking at specials for the auction house, I don't think I'm inappropriate, but you can stop me if I am, but where are we with that demolition or where we are in the auction house?
Up to Chip.
Pardon me?
It's up to Chip whether, when he can get in there, is that what you're saying?
Pretty well. Yeah, it,
So nothing's been knocked down yet, right?
right, yeah, he was, I believe he was gonna start at the store and work his way over.
So when the county nurse is here, where are they at?
She has a little office over, no, she
They don't
doesn't
come here
anymore?
though.
She just goes out to houses?
The Custer Health Nurse,
Yeah,
yeah, they have their office in Beulah when we remodeled. They went over in Beulah and they just felt like they could see more clientele, I think, over there, because they're more centrally located. They
Okay.
never moved back in, but this office was built for her.
I was gonna say, I thought we had one over
Yeah,
there.
Amanda
Okay.
utilizes that now, she's got her office in the jail and she's got this one here.
Oh, okay.
I'd just let the board know, we have a chemical bill of 56,000. And, so that pretty well should fill us up for this
Coming
coming
year.
year. So should be, we'll see how much chemical goes out, but,
For the weed board,
yeah,
right? For-
yeah,
okay.
so this is, they pre-ordered some last fall and then, this should pretty well
Got the remainder.
get us up to, well, we should be, so.
and hopefully we have good moisture.
Hopefully something more than what we've seen. It's kinda weird to go through February and fall on the ice, well,
Now we occasionally get the little rainstorm at the night.
yeah.
Yeah, rain in January,
Yeah.
Going to Minnesota, I guess, this weekend. That's the first time since Christmas, but it'll be weird, I'll drive through all the
Snow.
snowfields.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yeah. I was at my parents' last weekend, or no, 2 weekends ago. They have anywhere from 4 to 5 feet of snow in all the yards, and I mean, the streets are like, I'm like,
Huh.
good for them, I mean, they were
Right.
even drier than we were last year, but.
Fun to drive away from, isn't it?
As much as I'd like that moisture, I'm glad I'm not shoveling.
Yeah. It comes in rains.
Maybe we would just
Yeah.
not fall on the roads and driveways.
Yeah. There
got
was a,
some hilltops that are empty, they could use them.
and there there was a lot of people complaining about the plowing, and I'm like, where are they gonna put that?
Well, this is it. I mean, then if the wind blows how many times over there,
Yeah.
I mean, it just creates double trouble.
Wind comes from the west, it blows it to the east. Wind comes from the east, it blows it back to the west.
And the plow just raised the bank up 10 feet yesterday.
Where was this water break at, Shannon?
Here,
Outside? No.
maybe it was in the jail. No, where was it? It had to have been here,
Yeah.
because we were out of water in the courthouse. But the LEC building's water was on. They had it fixed within like an hour, hour and a half.
Wow.
Otherwise I was gonna have to call Travis and tell him we were having no restrooms or coffee.
Yeah. Ooh, I don't know which one's where.
Probably the no coffee at first.
No, no coffee, you don't need it as much as the other.
Yeah. One feeds the other.
Travis, do you guys still have the blue line machine at Interstate?
No, I, disposed of that last year.
I had it on my memories on Facebook 10 years ago, I wrote, I cannot wait until this blue line machine at work dies.
I think it had been dead for a while, but it was in the garage, and I'm like, seriously? I'm gonna get rid of this. See, all you had to do was drop the median age in that office, and it took care of it.
Must be propane on top.
Well, I think that's a pretty common thing,
Mhm.
It's every couple weeks.
yeah. Wish I could get that rate.
You and a few others, I imagine.
It just went up like 10 cents a gallon in the last week or so.
It did,
Yeah.
propane?
It's 209 cash price now.
Ouch, I think I'm at 18%.
It should have filled it 2 weeks ago.
Just keep going. It'll run for another month.
Should I hold my breath and hope it gets warm out?
Right?
Yeah.
You got any electric space
Come on,
heaters?
sunshine.
Oh, wait, you could borrow some from the county.
When was the last time you had your paint
Phil?
cleaned? Cause it fills with moisture eventually.
Oh, well, we just fill every summer. We usually run it, we can usually get down to like 18% by the time summer comes and we don't need it anymore. But I think we're gonna be filling here.
I think they got a candle special down the street there.
I got an electric fireplace, I just don't like to pay the electric bill.
Just keep them upright.
Let's keep 'em up there.
Right?
Somebody goes to turn the thermostat up. Okay, first question, have you put a sweatshirt on?
And the stocking caps are over in this closet over here, please.
Get your slippers on.
Yeah.
There was a Family Guy episode where Meg touched the thermostat and she just like touched it, she hadn't even moved it, and all of a sudden Peter comes in, somebody touched the thermostat.
I don't even know how to run ours.
And then all of a sudden, like, three neighbor guys come in. I got a sense that somebody touched the thermostat around here.
Oh, no.
Pretty funny.
You can get a decent calendar out of it.
Yeah, you'd think so. Oh, we did.
Oh, yes, we
Wheel
did.
or something. I'm just amazed that they found that they could,
They're all kinda
Yeah,
nuts over there,
those
right?
parts are hard to.
yeah,
Brave
if, if they're GM, you know, you can probably find it through them, but if it's some government spec, you're in trouble.
All those years of education will
Well, and I
be
know when we got
compromised by
this, the
lyrics.
Hyundai, it was like a government
Mm-hmm,
thing, so.
yeah.
Wow, a lot of bridge discussion, huh?
You know what?
Yeah.
Okay,
Hold on,
hold on.
I got her now.
Got her.
He didn't put down the hours when I bothered him.
We'll just say they mixed it up down there.
Yeah. Wasn't me, right?
Wasn't, yeah. It started good, I don't know.
Right? I don't know what happened down there.
Yeah, got something weird going on here.
Weird?
Well, there's a Model 12 Ram 350. Must be a pickup with a 6.7 Cummins in it.
It's a Ford.
Now it says it's a
It says
Dodge
a
Ram.
Ram.
And it power steering pump, and there's no signature on the ticket. And then there's a ticket that accredited.
Yeah, because they billed us for the wrong thing, that's when we got that bill.
Oh.
And like, we don't have one of them.
We don't
Right,
have
I
it.
was gonna say,
We don't
I
have a
was
Dodge
just
at
trying to,
all. Yeah.
yeah,
So that's why they credit it, because I think
okay,
they
okay.
charged us for somebody else's.
Yeah,
Gotcha.
nobody signed the ticket, and then you go, well, I don't think we have one of those.
Yeah, no, you're right, we don't.
Okay.
Hard to buy a part for a vehicle we don't have.
right?
Dodge makes a 6.7.
That's what it said, yeah. Used to be the 5.9, but they went to 6.7 now.
I know
More
Ford-
power.
I know Ford does.
Yeah.
More fuel.
Yeah.
Power. Hold her down.
You're like flattered.
I haven't been driving my diesel very much lately. Diesel's been going way up.
It's really bad.
That one, number one isn't bad price, you know that.
Oh, they're trying to get rid of it now?
We just go to Sam's Club.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
And all those ranchers and farmers on this diesel, they
Oh. You'd be surprised at the mine how much difference 10 cents a gallon makes.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, goodness, yeah.
some of the equipment runs all winter.
On number one.
It doesn't shut off. I think you can pay for it moving pretty fast and you get your equipment inside, right?
Takes a big building.
They make them.
Yeah.
pickups or anything, but it's heated vehicles.
Tractors and stuff.
We'll get you. That door, there was your parking spot.
Oh,
over by
right
Shanna.
there.
Sticking me in the corner, Brian, remind me of being in grade school.
How are you?
Oh, that's all right, the rest of us can see you real well that way.
Does anybody want these? They're extras from last meeting.
I have mine files.
Awesome.
I didn't get one, so I'll take one.
Oh, there you go.
I think I printed them and then you brought them.
Oh, all right.
But if you have it.
Yeah.
If you have a double.
Thanks, Shanna.
We figured you didn't need me here. Bill's is my locked in because we have three of these little devices I call Mr. Rings-a-Lot. I had one that was coming in, one on hold, one that was coming in, my cell phone was ringing.
It's usually the way it works.
Yeah.
When it rains in the morning.
Very great for hockey.
Oh,
We haven't
I
had
don't
too many
know.
winter residents this year.
Nope.
Sometimes it looks like they come in on purpose.
Yeah.
You ever notice that?
We gotta break a law here somewhere so I get taken care of.
Some dental work, some people go there.
Yeah.
I swear that's what happens.
oh, yeah. Just ring it. I thought the county, that light down there by Kessler's, east of the county shop, where the railroad track is, Mercer County pays for that light bill. I thought we
The
had
COVID
that.
fog is
That's
starting
back
to
in
clear.
Kenny's days.
but
It's
that-
a real thing, I know.
It doesn't move as
I don't know
quick.
how the heck the railroad requested us
The hamsters
to put a
are-
light in there.
Hamster's just not going to the full speed.
When did you have COVID?
And then see,
Same time
Last
you
month.
did
I wonder if this
Same
isn't
time
the
you
one.
it? A little later than you.
I'm glad you mentioned that because I talked to another guy, he's an engineer, so he has
It's
to be right.
either the one north of Kenny
I won't
Northwest
mention
or
his
it's just the one over.
But when I sent my report in to the nurse, I did a 5-day study,
It's
this
just two more.
report what was going on. I said, I got brain fog.
County.
And I went to another person who was an engineer,
okay.
and he said I had brain fog. I couldn't, and I never,
But I just, I don't know, I never seen it before, now I finally
That
see
must
it.
be on
You just
19 then,
mentioned
'cause
the
this
same
is
thing.
26 and 21 there.
Yeah,
I tell you what,
yeah. it
the
must
last
be.
2 weeks
That one must be the one on 19.
with
Gotta be.
Zoom hearing,
Yeah.
I've had to keep, and it's short term more than
One of
anything
them
else.
must have,
Yeah.
this is someone.
I've had to keep copious
never
notes
caught
like a
that
first year
before.
law student, or I get lost in the hearing.
Yeah, well, I knew of it a long
What's
time
this?
Getting
ago,
better, cause yesterday I had Zoom hearings for 2 hours.
But that way at least you know too, you know.
Yeah, we told them that Tuesday is chemo day, don't schedule it anymore. So what they do, they scheduled everything for Tuesday morning. Told them we can't, she almost got hurt. And then because of the COVID fog, to make sure it wasn't cancer moving to the brain, we were down at the hospital well before 8 o'clock, to do MRIs and a bunch of other tests. And then the doc and then chemo. So, we put right on there, here's the schedule we've got. So they said 3 o'clock, I'm like, all right, 3 I might be able to make.
And then it was 2 hours.
And then, oh, we gotta be better than that, State Penn has one, and we were not gonna, we don't do our Zoom anytime, up 2:30 is the last one we'll do. So I got Shell home and settled and was able to log on at 2:32, and then the judge just pushed it to 3 o'clock.
Last week in the blower went out.
It's a good thing they
Reduces
mute
air
this
into the
over.
burner. It's just a little bitty bug though, it's just
Yeah, I'd have been appearing
21
over there.
mileage and everything, 2100,
Just for that.
just for that little.
It's cooled down in here, Travis.
It
You don't
has.
make that motor anymore, it was sitting on the shelf. so it
They
got
just
used
happen to
it.
be having one there.
Yeah.
So our
Yeah.
farmer market,
Yeah,
the
just
levy goes
a
away
little
in
bitty.
2018, and then voting will be a limit of 10 unless you go to the voters and then you can get it to the 30. So it's just to continue to levy those additional. So, and I have the
I've never heard of
the
five
wording,
foot lights.
the number written up, I can email that to you, but I'm the only part I'm not sure of. Some counties have passed resolutions, some haven't. and
I was gonna say, well, if they can't do it in here because these are tile,
Yeah,
well, you can, but
So
it's
put the number
expensive.
as
So
written.
As written.
yeah. What if it's in the shop that probably doesn't have a full ceiling?
occasionally they'll change, but
Yeah.
I thought that.
See, that's what I thought, and then it has to be done by April, but in April, so.
Here, next version, and then hopefully get it all.
So should I look at it and bring it up here?
I would, let's get moving on.
Darby's gonna report everybody paid their taxes on time and took care of it, took advantage of the,
It's good.
Well, it's better than,
Not everybody.
Dane County Commission was late on theirs.
almost. Almost.
But that's not part of our contract?
No, I meant the one that Shanna was talking about, the special.
Oh,
We hadn't paid
yeah,
the special.
true.
Specials
Yeah.
specials don't get a discount, so
Oh,
Oh,
So we had time,
so we had.
Yeah, so,
you have till, they don't get a discount, but they can get penalized, so starting
Ooh.
March second, you would be.
we're good.
We're good.
Wayne, are you pulling gills out of your briefcase from home?
now what?
Oh, they caught ya.
I do think that I've glanced over it twice, I think the second time was, the tile was bigger than the first time.
You guys, you can't get by with nothing.
No,
I would like that to be agenda.
Yeah.
Do you have reams machine handle?
Huh?
Do you have ream machine handle?
Yeah. Yeah, we make it to RDO.
He calls it the number 101 blade.
102 on your checkbook, I can say that. And it don't take much neither.
no.
Simple thing like guards and hold downs, but they only have 4 different varieties for one machine, so.
Depends if it was built in Illinois or Kansas or
Kansas,
Kansas.
this, some of this
Right?
is, some of this is Canada, so.
Oh, yeah.
Hopefully you got it before they stopped in Ottawa.
Right?
I don't know. We'll see.
I hear there's a brigade starting in Minot on the 2nd.
Oh,
Oh, really?
Yeah,
well, we'll just,
Facebook doesn't lie.
No,
we'll just fire up,
they
the-
fact check that, you know.
Yeah.
fire up the two, no, B-52 bombers and give them a little smoke on the road.
Little send off.
Those things are loud.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot how much fuel it takes just to get them off the ground.
Off the ground, I'm sure it's just,
When they get to the end of the
The
runway,
money
they're
just
a lot lighter.
Yeah, they're a lot lighter. They make it over the house that way.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. I was always thinking, Travis, I wonder how many lay plow they could pull down the runway?
I don't know.
Yeah. 10 or 12 lay?
But if you've ever seen them sitting,
No.
you'd never think that thing would get off the ground.
Oh, isn't
The
it?
way it looks, I mean, it's just like a bus sideways.
right? It's just
It's
ginormous.
Ginormous, yeah.
Isn't this, something you get when you? This one's sort of.
THC.
I thought you would know that.
Not TCH.
I was just checking.
Only a different thing.
I have no clue, but I asked the right guy, now he's red faced.
Just laughing too hard. And they'd never say I knew anything about chemistry. That's part of that egg and biological engineering
I
degree.
missed that day.
We had to take chemistry and I think one biology.
Is this all the bills?
Nope, I got
The
one.
last one was
Oh, yeah.
WRT,
Small
Giant
one.
a small
You
one.
got the big, thick one.
There you go.
There you go.
Everything's good?
That's the law.
Yeah.
You'll see how many places you have to sign.
Yeah, just the back one, right?
Yes and no.
Yes and no.
It's up to you. Oh, there.
All right, is there a motion to approve the bills?
So moved.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay, a motion
Discussion.
by Liza, seconded by Wayne. Is there any discussion?
Yes, I'd like to offer this comment. I just got done with Custer Health and also some past experience. I suggest that we do not use a rubber stamp. It's been highly recommended that we do not sign our bills with a rubber stamp. It's part of the checks and balance system, and it just removes the question.
Okay, any other discussion? Seeing none, Liza,
Aye.
Wayne,
I'll vote aye.
Marv,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. That motion passes. All right, Darby, you're up. And I know Marv's already got questions for you, so,
Oh,
cause I couldn't answer them.
Okay, the first is the housing, right? The Mercer County housing check we get, and I did send some stuff in your packet, I hope you read it. There's a test.
There's a test, because we're failing already.
okay.
Is it multiple guess? I do well with those.
Yeah.
Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
I might be able to make it through that.
So this check gets sent to us every year. It's in lieu of, they call it the payment in lieu of, they pay their specials. They are not taxed for their property in Mercer County. This is how they pay us, they pay their specials and they send us big check every year or two. This year it's only one, for an amount that they come up based on that formula that was in your packet. Now, every year since I've been here and before, we have sent it back. If there's money, we send it back to them in an exchange check for them to use to upgrade the properties in Mercer County. So, if we're not going to do that, then, I mean, we can keep the money. We do have a payment in lieu of account. We can put it in there.
So you said this was for their specials?
They pay their specials, and
Oh.
they send us this money in addition to that,
Oh, in addition, okay.
Okay.
but they ask for it back. I mean, they didn't really clarify this year, they wanted it back, but every year we send it back to them, for them to use for improvements.
You just send the same check back to them?
I don't.
No,
I
sh-
do an exchange,
What is it? Explain that.
right, because
You
then
kept-
it's a paper trail.
Yeah.
I have this check coming in, I send them a check back.
So she deposits and then writes a check.
I deposit and write a check out.
Okay.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I owe you an apology, because I didn't read this very well prior to, and I did have my packet.
That's okay.
You might wanna come up, but when I look at this packet that you sent us, this information, maybe you can help me with it.
They do, I mean, the formula they use is basically their formula. I don't have anything to do with how they,
It's it looks like it's 10% of the
right.
shelter rent.
right, it's based on their, and they no longer have homes in Zap.
Zap.
Go
Right.
Nothing is owned by them anymore, is
No,
it?
Which other one, Darv?
Zap is not owned by them anymore
Right,
either. So-
right.
And Stanton,
And Stan.
right.
Oh,
So, I
So that's just Golden Valley.
and Hazen.
And Beulah.
Beulah,
And
Yeah.
it's like,
Yeah, I think there is one.
yeah,
Yeah,
Beulah, Hazen, and Golden Valley?
yeah.
Okay. When I looked at this morning,
Huh.
after, right before our meeting,
So I'm getting quizzed.
when
Okay.
I see the income of this here,
Yes.
I see two lines of expenses.
Yeah.
When I add these two lines of expenses, it equals exactly that. So they've expensed all their income.
They do say something here about it on the first page, an overall net gain in net assets, I
Mhm.
guess. So,
They must have a bank balance, and that's how they were able to pay the 7304 to us in lieu of taxes.
my suggestion is we send it back, but that's based on you guys. I do think it helps.
well, I know they're in struggling needs, like Golden Valley. They had briefly, I visited with them and they didn't know how long they're gonna be able to run Golden Valley. Because I think they only have one resident, yeah.
yep, they've been looking for somebody to come in there for a long time.
A
in
long
Golden
time.
Valley.
Yeah.
And that's my recommendation, we send it back and let them use it
For
for their.
their,
But you're right, Marvin, that does add up to, so they aren't making any money, basically.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we send back the amount to the Mercer County Housing Authority for $7,304.
It's 7303.50.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's a rounding on
Okay.
theirs, but,
7303.50.
okay, motion by Marv,
Do you wanna include in there for updating their facilities? I mean,
No.
okay, well, it has to be something to help the low income, otherwise we can't give them
Right.
money.
I know that, but
That is what we usually say. That's
To
what we
improve their
ask for.
facilities,
Yes.
right?
for
I have a
improvement,
standard.
for improvement of their facilities.
Right.
right,
okay, that's Marv's motion, is there a second?
Thanks, Shannon.
I'll second.
Second by Liza, any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, Marv,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Wayne,
how vote aye?
and I'll vote aye, that motion passes.
And on that same note, they do say in your letters, if you read them, or that they are more than willing to come up here during the meeting and,
Explain, yeah.
speak to you guys about this stuff too, so.
They have in the past, and I would like
They
them,
have in the past.
I would like them to do that if you ever contact them.
Okay.
We appreciate it. I have taken
Yes, they have.
tours with them and visited all their shelters and saw everything they've done, but it's been over a year.
Thank you.
Thanks, Debbie.
Thank you.
Yep.
You want one or yes?
Well, I have to compliment you, this fits in our binder now.
Just pushed over enough?
It only takes more than
It used to always be 11 by 17.
Oh, gotcha.
I usually run it on the same stuff I run my stuff on.
See what you do then is you turn it and then you fold it in
I
half.
don't-
Yeah.
Ironic thing is they call that legal size, and it's not legal anymore.
It's not legal anymore?
Can't use it.
Actually, 11 by 17 is not legal. There's another
She
size
does it on
in
8.5
between.
by 14 though.
Mine's
Yeah.
8.5 by 14.
Yeah.
But the legal size is no longer legal.
Good.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead. Sorry for the interruption.
That's all right. So this is for the end of January, so February's money isn't in, on this sheet here. And if you look at that, we took in 3.671, way at the bottom, total tax collected. That's a good month. But you look on your balance sheet, your actual receipts and payments, so right now we're a little over 2 million in February. It shortly goes downhill after.
Yeah, well, yesterday was the last day for the discount, right?
Right,
Yeah,
And we had a really good day on Monday, the 14th, we took in over $820,000.
Oh,
And that was basically just personal taxes. The bigger, your
February, right?
And we
Okay.
collect most of our taxes in February.
Like the,
Because in the 15 days.
Right.
Yeah.
Can I ask a tax question? What, so base and electric, like DGC, they pay taxes, they also, create the conversion taxes when they convert it to natural gas. If they weren't doing that, what would our taxes look like? Would you have any idea?
Because conversion and stuff comes in, I mean, our coal conversion and coal severance, it just comes to us in
In a lump sum?
In a lump
And we don't
sum.
even know what Mercer County as a total gets on that, right? We only know what we get as our share, like none of our political subs, you don't apportion that. Those all.
Right, right.
Each place gets their own.
Right.
So that'd be a more of a state treasurer question
Right.
then.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they actually, that actually is sent to the state like a month or 3 months in advance. I mean, and you get it's not, it's sort of prorated or whatever. They send in theirs the month before and you get your check the next month based on that.
Okay.
It's kind of like sale, I think most of the taxes
All
like
that
sale,
stuff
yeah,
is done that
it's
way.
a delay.
Sales tax, your state aid, all that stuff, they send it in to the state and then we get it the following month.
I've had quite a few questions on that, come through my office, so,
Yeah, that's gonna be.
like a state, that's more state treasurer, because they have the formula for the conversion down there that they calculate everything. Okay.
And I might have it in the folder, because, all that stuff is in the folder based on when they started all that stuff.
Okay.
So,
I might be coming to you for some information.
Yeah, there's been questions, yeah.
A lot of them, I've had several besides you.
Mhm.
as the carbon capture and all that other.
Yeah, there's just a lot of moving parts right now.
Right, so how they're going to figure all that out.
But
But
how it's gonna affect us is like my biggest concern now.
Right.
Right, yeah.
I think for a while we might be lower until some of that stuff gets.
Sorted out.
Yeah, we had a good conversion, I mean, as far as, I keep track of Beulah's. We had our highest that I've seen in the last 6 years, last year.
Yes, I would
Um,
agree with that, because ours, actually, a portion of it goes to, like, almost 400,000 goes to our building payment.
Building, yeah.
And so we were at like 1.6, if you would add that back in there. So
Mhm.
we had a really good conversion year too.
Yeah.
But that's over 40% of our general fund budget, so that's why I'm getting a little nervous.
Right, yeah, you hear we get it goes away, so
Yeah.
it's a double whammy.
What do you think was the cause of the increase?
Well, there's a lot that weighs into it, but if the power plants are at a higher consistent rate, they generate more power with the same amount of fuel. Cause if they're idled down,
Right.
Right.
their
And so
conversion
they
isn't
were
as good.
more- They
So
were
you
operating.
kinda wanna
Yeah.
see
The brownout in Texas helped.
Yeah,
hot or cold temperatures somewhere else.
yeah, somewhere else.
right,
Well, I mean, because our
Right.
doesn't figure our power, doesn't
Right.
right, and
Yeah,
it's,
They
that
are
is a
converting,
national.
right, so like Minnesota and other
Yep.
areas,
Yep.
hot or cold, that is where our production.
Yeah, and if the mine somehow is able to reduce ash or increase the BTU value, then you get more BTUs for the same tonnage, and it's based on a tonnage, so that could be part of it too.
Better
Like I said, there's a lot of moving parts to it.
Yeah.
One other question, Darby.
Yeah.
So like when people have escrow on mortgages, stuff like that, do those places send you a check, or is it like ACH or
They
combination?
send us a check yet.
Okay.
Almost all our escrow companies send us a check yet. So
Okay.
and those all come in like a big
Yeah.
lump sum. And I think the reason they send a check yet is because they send all their, ID numbers with that check
Oh, makes sense.
rather than.
and I would assume all of those have come in pretty much then, because they wouldn't wanna hit the,
All our escrow accounts are
I was gonna say, the mortgage company would have a hard time explaining to the homeowner who's paid all year on the escrow.
Right.
done. They do
now
that.
we owe more, cause I didn't send it in time.
Yeah.
There are, the mortgage companies are not always, I tell ya.
They'd like to hold that money too, huh? Any other questions for Darby?
Did you guys do the ARPA thing yet?
No.
Nope.
I wanna come in and sit in and listen to that.
Okay.
No, mortgage companies or escrows, they sometimes have a mind of their own. How they do. So if you're borrowing money and you wanna make sure you tell the
How long is this update? Is it something we can do in 9 minutes or?
No.
No, okay. We'll call you back in.
We'll call you, we'll come get you. Thanks, Darby.
Okay, let's move to the other business, sheriff fees.
Mr. Chairman, I move that we accept the sheriff fees of $4,007.26.
Okay, motion by Marv, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Liza, any discussion? Seeing none, Marv?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
Wayne?
Aye.
And I vote aye, that motion passes. Recorder fees?
I make a motion that we accept the December recorder fees of $6,610.
Okay, motion by Liza, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Marv, any discussion on the recorder fees? Seeing none, Liza?
Aye.
Marv?
Aye.
Wayne?
Aye.
I'll vote aye, that motion passes. Let's go to, you wanna do HB 1505 funding?
No, I wanna do ARPA funding and HB 1505 concurrently.
Okay.
We'll group those two together. Audit findings will be, it'll take more than approximately 8 minutes, because you guys might have some discussion, but
Okay.
portfolio base is open, so.
Okay, Marv, you wanna start with portfolios?
Okay, I didn't visit the road this last week. I did make it down to Custer Health, for their meeting. I guess what I wanna emphasize with Custer Health is their reporting and transparency. They do a really, really good job. Not that we're not doing that, that's not what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, I appreciate what they do. I did have a question on a balance when, and it came to me just prior to the meeting. I sent that down and they weren't able to answer it. They understood the question, they saw the error, and part of it had to do that because they were at cash accounting basically, and now they're going to accrual accounting, so there's small discrepancy. But anyhow, they did a very good job. It was a very good meeting. That's all I really have for that. Tomorrow I have a meeting at the road department with Ken and with Summit Carbon Solutions. And it has to do regarding transfer of large equipment in Mercer County from the 2 test sites that they're developing. That's all I have.
Okay. I don't have much for updates. Water Resource Board is not having a meeting this month. They're gonna do their regular meeting in March. Haven't had one with the Library Board for a while. And the Fair Board, they got just about all their entertainment locked in. And they're just kinda trying to tie everything together, so they'll probably come back in sometime closer to the fair for, their request for allocation money. But that's all I have. Liza?
For the ambulance board, at our last meeting, we went over the bylaws and went over the volunteer policy manual that they had to ensure that that was accurate. They're still looking at, or they are gonna get another rig. And I think they got that ordered already because it takes almost a year to get. And they're working on, they got quite a few grants that they've been working on, and some have been approved and coming through, and they're hoping to apply that to part of the ambulance and part of it, some of the equipment that they needed there too. So it seems like they're doing pretty well. When I was there last time too, they were actually fully staffed, which is like the first time in a long time, so I thought that was really nice too.
Okay. Anything else?
I have a question for Liza. I'm glad you mentioned the staffing. That was what I was gonna ask when I came here today, because I know that it's hard to get volunteers with all that work that you guys do there. How many rigs do we have?
I can't remember if it's 4 or 5. And say, I didn't bring my sheet. It's Big Bertha is the one that they're looking at replacing, the one that they've had
The ones that have a
issues.
nickname.
Yeah, they've had a lot of issues with the emissions on it and it breaking down on that and stuff, and it's just heavy.
They have 2 or 3 in Bueller and 2 or 3 in Hazen, depending on the situation.
Right, and one is, they use a lot more for just transports, if they have to do transports, and then the rigs actually, other rigs stay there and stuff, so they have one that they use
And
specifically
that's,
for
I know there's
transports.
one smaller one, and that's why I'm trying to remember if it's 4 full-size rigs plus the one smaller
The
one,
little.
or if the smaller one fits into the 4. So it's either
Okay,
4 or 5.
just curiosity questions. Thank you.
Yep, and they do still need volunteers, it's their actual staff that's fully staffed, but they definitely need volunteers.
Okay. Wayne?
Well, found out this morning here that planning and zoning, Ricky Scheid, excuse me, has resigned. So we have an opening in planning and zoning for his term then. And we'll want to add this week
So that's the paper Friday.
in the paper then.
Do you want to, I would assume in both papers.
Yeah, I would think so,
Yeah, because it doesn't have to be specific from one area, right?
Right.
right? So, I don't know, that planning and zoning board's kind of getting beat up on, I guess.
Do we usually do a motion to accept the resignation, or?
No.
No, okay.
Guess not.
How long is his,
I-
what does his term expire? Does it say?
It doesn't really. I'll, immediately through June 24.
So the unexpired term would go through June 24? Okay.
Yeah. So, okay, as you've seen, the weed board has been pretty proactive. Kind of, gotta give them guys a lot of credit. Last fall, they had some funds left, so they pre-ordered their allotment already for this coming year. And like I said, this last bill here should kind of take care of that pretty well for the summer as far as chemical goes. It just, again, depends on what happens on that, how much weeds or how much chemical goes out. They haven't really set up there's a percentage that the landowner pays. They haven't quite done that. They're gonna do that next meeting to see, it kind of varies from year to year, but they wanna make sure that, they have enough funds to continue to operate too, so. And, we had regional, airport, board meeting the other night. There's really nothing, spectacular going on there at the time. It's just business as usual. There is some grass seeding and those types of things left yet in the spring, but, anyhow, all is going well there, and tomorrow I have, social service in Washburn in the afternoon, so. I think that's all I have there, Travis.
Okay.
Was it Shanna, did we want to bring up about your office?
Yes, we have statewide election training on March 3rd. Well, it's a half a day on the 2nd and then a half a day on the 4th, which those are the same classes, but the 3rd is all day from 8 to 5. I don't know if it's an issue if we close or if you prefer one of us stay back. I know for sure Alice needs the training, she's never done an election before. Whatever the board feels.
And you said Gwen was gonna stay on Wednesday, was it, or?
Well, she'll go down Wednesday afternoon and do the afternoon class, and then Alice and I will do the Friday morning class. I don't wanna send her by herself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So you're just specifically asking about that one
On Thursdays.
full day?
Yeah, since it's from 8 to 5.
And Gwen's already done this training?
She has. Yeah, we both have. I mean, there's always something new to learn, but
Mm-hmm.
So you're suggesting that the auditor's office be closed the full day?
On the 3rd. That's what she's
Possibly, or
requesting.
otherwise we have Gwen stay back, would be the thing, because she's already gone, but.
I think training is
Important.
essential and important.
so you
Does
know,
Gwen wanna go?
I think so. I mean.
I think it's
been-
beneficial to our county that they all go.
Mhm.
Okay,
I would make
so
a
you're okay?
So
I'm
it's okay to
recommending
shut
that
it down?
we close the auditor's office for the 3rd.
One day.
Okay, that's
Mhm.
perfect. And also underneath my office, I did, write up the ballot measure for 1204. I'll give you each a copy of that,
Mhm.
and then I'll have it on the next agenda for discussion. I believe, the way that works is we have discussion, you wanna tell them how it's supposed to work?
I want that.
I don't wanna miss something.
Basically, we've gotta get, what I advise Shannon to do is to get it to you today so that we've got our first opening of it. This way you can look across the language, approve that, and then we can move forward. Next meeting, we'll have a public reading of it, and then the meeting after that, have a public hearing on it, and then the board can vote. Anything comes up, well, that might push us back a meeting or two.
One meeting is all we would have to be pushed back. This has to be in by April 11th.
Right, since we're up against a bit of a deadline before we have the resolution, to have this put on the ballot. That's why I told her, let's get copies to you today to get this ball running.
So today we're just looking at possibly approving the wording?
I don't even think you're gonna approve the
No.
wording today, just read
Okay.
it, and then we'll put it on the next agenda for full discussion.
Okay.
Does
Okay,
that work?
sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, Ken, you're up. Morning.
Good morning.
First is,
Have to slide your mic over, Ken.
2022 road
Excuse me,
restrictions.
sorry, Ken, can you move the mic over so that the community can hear,
Hold on, I don't
please?
even have it on. Very nice.
Thank you, Ken.
Yep. First is, to have permission to put on load restrictions for 2022 when they do, start showing up in our area. Last week I got an email from the DOT out of Dickinson, and, they were getting pretty close. Their subgrade, temperatures were getting to where they were gonna probably put them in down by Bowman, the southwest part. So usually, they're usually first, and then it starts moving its way north and east, so I just wanna get kind of ahead in case it would happen between now and the next meeting. So we can put them on if necessary, I mean, when it's time.
So we base that on like the DOT's,
Yeah, when
readings
they
and stuff like
start
that?
putting them in our areas, when we do in our county. Yep.
Okay.
Do we need a motion for that?
Yeah,
Ken?
and then I think, yeah, then we have to get it signed by the chair.
Okay. So a motion to do load restrictions when the DOT determines our areas requires? Is that usually what you do?
Yeah. Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we follow the North Dakota DOT, and when they put their restriction in our area, county put their restrictions on and follow the DOT's recommendation.
Okay, motion by Wayne, is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Liza, did you get all that, Shannon?
Close enough anyhow.
No. Any other discussion? Wayne,
I'll vote aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Marv,
Aye.
and I'll vote aye. That motion passes.
Here's to Travis, please.
I like these wheels.
Thank you.
Ken, I think I had put on the right-of-way documents for County One. Do you know the process that we usually do for those right-of-way plats?
We haven't done one, maybe Wayne knows, cause we haven't done one for so long. The last one I can remember was County 17, and that was when Roy was here, when we, you
I
know.
wanna say it was 12 or 13 the
Yeah.
last time I remember doing it.
Yeah. Cause basically you've negotiated on
Right.
County One. the
Well,
additional
it's off
right-of-way.
of County One, it's
It's
at,
off,
right
yeah.
west of John Shields on that bridge. We had to get a little over an acre where that box is gonna go into that guy's property on the north and south. So we had negotiated and came up with a deal to purchase that property for the right of way for that box. So I don't know if it has to be
So the,
approved
so
by,
the engineer already got all the easements signed and everything?
yes, yep,
They're sitting right there.
So they just need to be recorded at that point, right?
I think so.
Yes.
And then Mercer County has to pay these?
Well,
Well, I guess there's a document that, I don't know if it's by the state or if it's been accepted by several counties, but they kind of have a policy in place of how you compensate for right-of-way.
right,
And we worked within that,
right,
but we're doing something in lieu of payment?
yes.
Correct,
Yep,
yeah.
yep,
Oh, okay. It's either
So-
payments or lieu of payments, right?
right.
Right?
Yeah.
What are you doing in lieu of?
It's in the, packet
It's
there.
right in there. We're placing recycle on a driveway or a drive,
Yeah,
which we have that we got, but, I mean, either you do it this way or you pay money and then go through the way Charlie was explaining it, to get it, well, what do you wanna say? Not evaluated, but
appraised.
Appraised,
Yes, it's a
yeah.
process, and it can end up costing you way more money than what.
Well, you gotta pay, right, you pay the appraisal.
Right.
Uh,
And then,
person.
we're gonna get pushed up against the back of, getting this bid, letting the bid in April. That would push us back, cause you have to obtain that before you can actually bid it. So-
Right, because the state, you're 200% right. They want that right away, all taken care of before you do any
Right.
bidding.
And since it's
Just-
federal funds, we gotta have all that engineer with the, Army Corps, which is all done.
Yeah.
So, have pretty much everything done in order for it to be the bid let in April, so.
Okay.
It's been a long time, yeah.
Yeah, and I
Last
mean-
time I said it was
Yeah.
17,
What, 2017?
County 17
Oh,
is
county
when-
17,
yep.
okay,
when we had to purchase right away.
It's probably been 10 years.
Yeah.
yeah. So I mean, I guess what we're looking for is approval to do what we did on this one, and then maybe somewhere down the future, we need to have a policy in place for when this
Right,
comes up
for
again.
right away, yep.
For right-of-way acquisition.
Right, because some do fences, some do, so much of a payment, and fences, everyone's a
Yeah.
little bit different, but,
I should check with Lauren, maybe would know the process. I mean, Steve did it, but Lauren,
Mm-hmm.
well,
Well, and
those
it was
guys
just-
did it too over in, Dunn County too.
Yeah.
I know,
and then this is the way they do it.
Well, Dunn County has
They
a
have a
set
actual
process,
process.
yeah, they do,
Just gonna copy
Yep.
that.
right,
yeah.
and then we would have to just adopt it,
Yeah, instead of reworking a whole brand new one, why don't we just
Right.
get the one from Dunn and see if it'll apply for us?
right,
Yeah, I think and I'm just going from memory, I think Dunn County's is a certain dollar amount for
Right.
the right-of-way or a fence,
Right.
right?
right. I
So
think
like if you take, 15 additional feet and you have to move a fence, then they get a brand-new fence.
Right,
Right.
Or they can take the payment in lieu of the fence.
Fence,
right,
Right.
And then this, they were taking, I guess, I don't have it in front of me, but,
Do we, yeah, good question, Travis. Do we have to fence anything out of there before?
I think we will, I think so.
Before
I'm pretty sure.
construction, because there might be.
Because it ties into the box,
Because of
According to plans.
livestock issues, right?
yeah, because on both sides, actually, it's
Yeah.
pasture on both sides. isn't it?
Both sides
Yep.
has pasture, yeah.
And it's owned by the same individuals on the north and south.
So, okay, so anyhow, we'll do the fencing. in
Right,
other
that'll
words.
be in the contract, or
Yeah, okay.
when we do the bidding.
And say that,
Yeah.
that'll be included in the bidding then?
Right.
Okay.
No,
the other thing I had on there, Ken, was,
So we
you-
need to act on it.
well, I was just gonna let Todd read,
Oh, okay.
see if he sees anything, but I'm not pushing him. I just wanted to bring up the other, thing Charlie asked me about was the RFP for construction engineering services.
Okay.
Because it's a federal,
Right.
we actually have to post a RFP for the construction administration.
Right,
Which he sent a draft, there should have been a draft on everybody's desk.
That's this one?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Request
there we go.
And this goes with federal aid projects, it's just a formality, but if we get, more than one firm to submit the top three, we would actually have to interview and then do a selection to do the construction engineering, is how I
If we
understand
get more
it.
than three, you said?
If we get more than one, we'd have to do
Oh,
a
an
selection,
interview
but we
process?
limit it to three that we would interview, or
We have to
That's-
solicit engineers for a project?
Since
for
it's
the,
federal aid.
for the federal aid,
Federal.
for the construction administration, so
Yep.
not the design, but when the construction goes in, like the staking, the testing,
Okay. I was
all
like,
that type stuff.
We have an engineer that runs the contract.
Right. No, this is, and it's a formality to get the federal aid, and basically, if you go through this process, then they pay a portion or most of the engineering
I
fees.
think so, yeah.
Yeah.
But it's,
Oh.
it's a process that you have to go through in order to,
So-
Yeah.
for
So this
federal
has to be
aid.
put in the paper?
Has to be put in the paper,
Right.
and what Charlie, it's 21 days from the day you list it, so his thought was that it would be in the paper on the 24th, 3rd, and 10th, so that you would collect all proposals by 4 PM on March 10th, and then we would discuss it at the March 16th meeting.
So this needs to go on the March 16th agenda,
Yes.
and what do we, just RFP for federal aid projects?
RFP for construction engineering on federal aid project.
The interstate can also submit, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, I have, I think, a 10:30 lined up on there already,
Okay.
Lisa and after, but I'll do my best to get it in the room area time.
And this doesn't come pre-bidding or anything, this is actually after, it's just through the process
Right.
for the actual construction.
Right.
So we wouldn't have to award anything until we knew that we had a contract with a contractor to actually do the construction.
Right.
So we just get the RFP out,
So Mercer County sends this RFP out, so I send it to the paper?
you send it to the
It
paper.
just has to do our official newspaper. release.
Correct.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it needs to run for 3 weeks then?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
you said the 24th.
Yes, the
and
24th, 3rd,
February.
and the 10th.
Yep, 3rd and 10th, yep.
And that it would, everything needs to be submitted by March 10th at 4 PM.
Right.
So I guess we would need a motion to advertise for the construction engineering on that project.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, sorry.
You asked for,
What is that?
That's the right of way,
The
right?
structure replacement?
It's the structure replacement, that BRO 0029, parentheses 056,
oh, 56, yeah.
and then the PCN 23132.
He asked for it.
I haven't done a lot of roads in my days, so this is kind of new to me too. Okay, motion by Wayne, is there a second?
I'll second.
Go ahead, Liza.
I'll second.
Second by Liza, any discussion?
Well, I think, I'm not too sure, but like Shanna said, in the past, we paid probably the engineering, and now the feds kind of picking up a little more of that cost. So these are the procedures that we'll have to go through in order to make it fair or get the
Money
proper.
isn't free.
Well,
No.
like I said, I wanna make sure that we get the funding, if we can get the funding for
Right.
it, anytime we can
Right.
get
yeah.
funding would be very much appreciated.
Yeah, usually with these projects, there's a little bit more cost, but that's offset by the assistance by the federal government. So
That's
it's-
true,
It's
yeah.
worth it in the end.
Yeah.
Any other discussion? Seeing none, Wayne?
I'll vote aye.
Liza?
Aye.
Marv?
Aye.
And I'll vote aye. That motion passes. See any issues with the right-of-way stuff, Todd?
No,
I-
I just wanted to go through real quick the DOT right-of-way acquisition procedures. Hasn't changed since February of 19, and glancing through it, I didn't see anything that jumped out at me as would have been different. I'm assuming that this, small as this project is, the donation and then the exchange for some private road improvements covers all the landowners. I wasn't able to go through and checklist all of those, but looks like Ken's done a good job in getting us all the right-of-ways we need. Looks
And
like-
Charlie.
Looks like the citizens that are affected are on board.
I'll,
Nice to see that.
yeah, just everything's notarized that we needed notary, right?
Yep.
Good, okay. Because that's been an issue in the past, but,
Mhm.
you know, and then finally, one of the commissioners or or I become a notary just to get that taken care of, because we just have to, I mean,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, there's nothing here that, we've got one item that was notarized.
Okay.
I'm gonna double check one thing here. Some of them don't require notaries, some do. Here's everything's in order.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the right-of-way documents for County One?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve the documents included for the right-of-way for County One.
Okay, motion by Liza, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Marv, any discussion? Any discussion? Seeing none, Liza,
Aye.
Marv,
Aye.
Wayne?
I'll vote aye.
I'll vote aye, that motion passes. Do we wanna take a 13-minute recess, or do you wanna bring up any of that? Or I guess, Ken, do you have anything else? I'm sorry.
I was gonna visit with you guys about, we, met with, Candy yesterday and Jim at the shop there with that truck issue. And, you know, we had that one, I think it's the 120, yeah, 120 is that older with the cat engine, the one that they're saying doesn't work. Well, last week, a couple of our guys had, looked into it a little more, and it's, they call it the governor housing. It's, a part that goes by the injector pump. That's what's leaking that fuel. And Dennis had called, we can get the seals and the part for about $475 to fix that pump, you know, for that leak on that diesel fuel deal. We looked at the clutch, and the brakes are still good on that truck. We're looking at trying to get this thing back and going, because it's not gonna be worth anything if we do, when we do sell it. And we also, already had talked to, up at Wesley with the salesman up there that we have dealt with in the past before, and with this whole COVID thing, I couldn't believe it, but for a price of a truck that we paid 3 years ago, they're at $118,000 just for the truck. You got another $32,000 for the box. So we're gonna have 150 grand into a new truck, of which I don't have in my budget, because we weren't budgeting one, you know. But they can't even, actually even do a bid, and if they were even to do, or give us a price, because this is actually, would probably take mid-delivery in 2023 of that truck, even if you were to bid it.
Yeah.
So my opinion is let's try to get this other one going, and let's see if we can, because the body's sound on it, the box is good, and let's see if we can make it work. I mean, like I say, it's not gonna be worth anything to us if it's not running, and Kevin and Dennis did get it going, and other than that leak, it runs good, took it out, and just trying to get that diesel fuel leak. And the thing of it is, that governor housing, Dennis found the part, it's about a month, 2 months out, but I think it's worth a shot trying to get this thing back together. And, you know, because, and I had talked to Candy about the fact too, that she can use our bidding for like,
contract.
Unruh's and,
Yeah.
Lakeview Services when they bid for hauling dirt.
Right.
And it's like this year's bid was $115 an hour. Well, if they're up there for a 10-hour day, I mean, you can do the math. It's not that,
How often did she use it? That was.
well, that's the thing. We've moved a bunch of dirt for her last year, but then she had said if you move too much dirt, well, then this time of year, then it freezes over
It
the winter time.
freezes,
So then
yeah.
she's
Yeah,
stuck
and then
trying to
she
get
can't
that
move it.
out, and that doesn't work all the time either. But like I told her, I says, even if you were to, you know, you could have one truck a day up there. She would load with her loader. I mean, one side dump can move quite a bit. The runs are short. So
Absolutely.
it's something to think about. And like I say, if we do get this truck going, which I'm thinking we will, I mean, it should be good enough for up at the landfill, and it'll be good enough for here at the courthouse for helping Jim out.
And that's what I was gonna say too, so if this truck doesn't pan out fixing it,
What?
$150,000 and no end in sight of when we could actually get it.
Right.
I mean, Jim probably needs a truck, who knows if he'll even need it for the rest of the year.
Right.
I'm hoping he does, but.
Right. And even like
And
if,
if she can get somebody to haul, would we even necessarily
Well-
purchase another truck?
right.
Well, and the same token, I mean, if this truck goes down, Ken does have a
Right.
truck that he can get over, because we gotta keep this facility running here. We got, you know, the jail and the ambulance that may have to come in. I mean, you understand that,
Right.
Ken, right? because, we just gotta keep this,
You don't use them in the winter.
Oh,
not so
not
much.
like we do in the sun. That's what, like with Candy's thing, like if it rains for us, as soon as it's done raining and drying up, we're probably gonna be hauling gravel. Well, that's the same time she's gonna need it, cause her dirt's
So
gonna
I
dry
wonder
up.
if you're with Jim needing it really much. though.
Right, not as much as Jim, but no, it's like now with an open winter, the guys are doing trees now.
Yeah.
But we're not taking all of the dump trucks too, so, but yet it's a nice winter.
But then we
So,
need it when it's nice.
right,
yeah.
You might have just.
How did you say the clutch worked? Ken, you said something about the clutch?
the clutch has an inch and a half. They checked it, it's good. I mean, there's plenty of clutch there.
Plenty
I know
of
they had talked about it's a straight stick and I know how that goes, but I mean, it's not, it's like I say, it's a short run. You're not on a public roadway. You're within the landfill.
Right.
So hopefully, I mean, but the truck, like I say, is sound other than that fuel leak and,
I make a recommendation that we repair this truck.
okay.
That
I don't know
leak.
if we need a we just wanna fix it.
Well,
'cause the
we had a motion that we
parts are
weren't-
not bad.
Yeah.
At the last meeting, so you're right, Marv, we should.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
okay,
Alright.
so motion by Marv to proceed with the fixing of the
Truck?
truck. Is there a second?
I'll second that, yes.
Second by Wayne. Any further discussion?
What's the truck number, Ken?
120.
Okay, please add 120 to the motion.
Any other discussion? Seeing none. Marv?
Aye.
Wayne?
Aye.
Liza?
Aye.
I'll vote aye. That motion passes. Anything else, Ken?
No.
I just want to comment, I think it's very good, because, I mean, the truck is here, if we can keep this thing going, it's not that we're running the wheels off of it, it just, but we also have to have a little bit of a backup plan, you
Right.
know, in which
We
you're
do.
aware of.
Yeah.
And life is good, in other words, so,
Okay.
thanks a lot.
I just wanna comment, that's a great thing. Ken comes in and says, let's spend 500 instead of 150,000.
Yeah,
Helps
we're
with our
not-
thinking, doesn't it?
Especially when we're not budgeted for it.
All right.
well, and,
That's a
I like what
chunk of
common
change.
sense gets used, because I've seen so many political subdivisions buy everything new, and then you got a short haul truck like this that loses value really quick. It's just not a really good, this is a personal, not legal opinion, it's just not a very good use of taxpayer dollars. Whereas repairing a truck that's got a good body, good box, runs well, just has a stupid leak and with part shortages.
yeah.
Well, let's take a recess till 10:30, and we'll come back, talk about the HVAC.
Travis, you apparently didn't sign your, little letters correctly. So if you could swing by my office, so I was gonna give you some training on that. I don't know if you guys were aware, but John Tenney passed away. He was a deputy at the sheriff's department, he was actively. I don't know if you've heard that John Tenney passed away last weekend. I just, since he's back to Chino Point of Mercer County, I wanted to let you know. I was getting flowers. Yep, we did. I didn't see it in the thing, but I didn't want to be like, hey. No, it's getting off, it's finished. 2022 did not start off on a good note.
At least we made the effort. Should have her taken off. Put it on and then in the process. How do you get some of your collection? Printed them all as machines.
Would be my guess.
We'll see how far
Yeah.
more intelligent in our conversations, a little bit.
Right.
Yeah. So you're going to, Tuesday's going to Minnesota, and then how many weeks? Oh, should be blowing pretty hard, like 60 miles an hour.
I was saying, did you see the weather there?
I'm leaving Thursday.
Oh.
I'm leaving tomorrow evening, but I'm also, I was told that there's on Sunday, there might be snow coming in.
But I seen on, cause I've been watching too, cause I'm supposed to go. And Thursday afternoon, Fargo's got a weather advisory in. For snow, blowing snow and frigid temperatures and everything and stuff like that, so watch it. Yeah.
He'll just have to check which hotel room is more reasonable and which one they will check over next morning. Don't forget the show, because next morning, so all the high school.
In a couple spots.
And then all the courthouse. That, yeah. So I heard that. But then you know what the country is over there, it's so flat, you just do Jamestown, other side of Minnesota.
Yeah.
It's an evergreen tree, but.
Yeah, and the problem it runs into is if we have warmer temperatures during the day, then it sticks on the interstate, but it's like that black ice kind of sticky stuff. That's what's not, that I hate trying to go through.
So I don't,
So that's Thursday, you said, it's that advisory is?
When I looked at it this morning on my way here, yeah, Thursday afternoon, yeah. Cause I'm like, oh. Not looking for, and then I was looking, cause I wasn't gonna come back till Monday. And then like you said, I was looking at that stuff too, and I'm like,
If I make it, I'm gonna need all of my stuff from the office with me. And if I have to stay in Minnesota, the first day next week or whatever.
yeah,
I'll have it all.
yeah, I would do that if I were you, cause it's, you just never know, that's
I
what's
just,
so
yeah, I
hard.
haven't been back since Christmas, so I'd like to, I know next week it's not gonna work for me, so
Yeah.
hopefully this will work. But I'll make it work if I have, whenever I have to come back this one. The question is getting it out there.
Well, and that's my whole thing too, I'm like, huh. Cause like you said, I really wanna go
Friday, if I
to,
wait until Friday, then there's that, I know there's that wind.
yep. Yeah, we had like 60 miles. an
Which at
hour.
least is a tailwind for me, but it's,
But still,
but still.
yeah, and like I said, if they got that fresh snow and, you know, that's the thing that.
I'm turning on the big sheet. I see it. So the one thing that Jim and I were talking about is the VA box replacements. Originally, I didn't have them all figured, but I made some changes. I didn't change the first. We're gonna.
Where do you go in Minnesota
Some of
again?
that in
Los Angeles, here in Alexandria.
They can-
Oh,
they don't
okay.
have to,
Mhm.
Put as many components in.
Huh?
That's where I'm from.
So
Okay.
this cost went down. so
I'm from
I did
Minnesota
change
too,
it because-
so.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know you talk about Black's,
Yep.
used to run, I don't know if you're where you're from that area or.
So
Yep.
we don't have
Where do you know Princeton then?
Yep,
Princeton is actually where I spent my
boxes without.
childhood up until third grade, and then we moved to Los Angeles.
oh, really? Huh.
So I was up there for my
That's
young
right.
days.
So we
Okay.
wanna add a dollar to it. So like I said, I got some efficiencies in there, and then I'm gonna need some. So that we can.
oh, okay, thanks Shannon.
Oh, did you? No. Yes, yes.
This is that
And that's why I put
language
that
on
on
that,
there. It says exclusions.
Oh, yeah.
the levy for the taxes, for the one where the one is going away.
Yeah, no, that'll be good, I don't know.
I'll have more for you, I'll have more about it,
Next meeting.
I know you're not, yeah, I know you're waiting.
Yeah.
There will be no exclusions.
Yeah, I'll be good to have that. But, yeah.
I do, it's very. I hope I did this right. It's like 30 pages.
This goes with the tackle
I will get it. I just wasn't sure if you wanted, it's a lot of mumbo jumbo, but.
You're talking the ARPA stuff, right?
Yep. What I said to Jack, what I did is
Travis.
Yes.
ARPA from the.
Okay.
What's that?
So.
I got a sign
I've got.
in that corner where it says Mercer County approved, and then they get recorded.
I mean, it's.
You have any copies of all that, so I can open the file then?
And then I have.
I think there's just,
Cause I'll want signed copies of it for my file. Is it okay that you're signing these?
yeah, cause I'm not.
Okay.
But I didn't know if you, so.
You'll sign these and then I'll get a copy of all of this, right? For the project file?
So it's like a two-page document.
Ooh, boy, I wonder how this one's going.
Well, this is the one to
Yeah,
help cover us for the one that goes away.
yeah, I know. And they're not gonna quite understand, why did that other one go away?
And say, I think we just gotta make sure that everybody really understands.
So I just give this back to you.
Well, sure, yeah.
Make sure I get everything I need.
He's got to control.
Trust you with that.
This goes with the ARPA.
It's kind of a must, without it, it's gonna not be a good thing.
Yeah, see, unfortunately, we're in a rock and a hard place on that one.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll call the meeting back to order, and we have the HVAC discussion, so come on up, guys. I don't know what we're discussing, but
That's okay. We can't actually make a motion today.
okay.
We gotta advertise, I believe, so, just wanted to get you the information that, Jim and Kurt and Wayne and I talked about after our last meeting. So you guys have it in front of you, and then we can work on, next meeting, making a motion if that's the route you wanna go. But I just thought it'd be good for you guys to see the plan. Big sheet.
I was looking for that. That was, when you were talking, he's promised us big paper.
That's my legal size paper, because I don't have tabloid in my
Yeah,
office.
this is the biggest you can get, right?
might not fit in your portfolio.
Right.
Just
Really fold it.
Just
Fold it in half.
fold it in 3 parts if
Yeah.
need be,
Yep.
yeah.
Wayne, you got one?
Got one? Yep, we're good.
Actually, so that's the same as this one, right?
It should be. Yep, the only thing I did different was highlight the ones that were selected, so you don't have to try to
Okay.
guess by the X's.
Gotcha, thank you.
Here's how it's folded, you can,
I do that too.
you can stamp it, or hole punch it, and put it in there. and-
Thank you.
You good?
I got a lot of ones.
I've been advised. Thank you, Shannon.
Just trying to help you out.
And then I think Jim had also sent you something on kind of the general scope of work for mechanical. Just note that on there, it may say exclusions. That's just excluded by the mechanical contractor. We have it all covered.
Okay.
So just ignore where it says exclusions. It's all covered in our project.
Did I get something from you, Jim? Did I get something from you?
I just gave it to Wayne, I think you gave it to Wayne.
I think maybe Shannon did.
I can send it to you.
Okay. that'll
So,
work.
Well, hang on, there we go.
Did you find an extra?
You did,
I didn't take yours, did I?
if you did.
I might have an extra.
I can send her an electronic copy too, so. So I guess where we're at, we just wanted to come before you, make sure there's no questions. If you, I know we've had a couple weeks to talk about this now. Make sure you can kind of see the final plan, what was selected after our meeting, or after the last meeting. I did put some kind of ranking in there. So like you'll see heating system repairs replacements is ranked at number 4. Yes, that's higher than I think CFS 5B, which was selected. But it doesn't fit in the budget for this year. So maybe that's a good phase 2 project. Tackle that. Other than that, you can see the total cost is right at $1,009,000, with a $10,000 customer contingency that if you don't use, that comes back to you. So that puts us right at that $1 million, just a hair under, which should fit in the ARPA budget.
You have potential grants available. Are you guys certified in doing the energy audits?
Yep.
Okay,
I'm a certified energy manager, certified energy auditor. I can sign for anything from the state for the energy conservation grant.
okay.
So what I'll do is, once we get everything under contract and selected, I'll go through and find what items we can cover in the energy conservation grant. I fill out all the paperwork. We'll send it to you for signature, and you send it in, and that's all it works. So the only thing that I'll caution you, so I always say potential available, because we never know how much they're gonna have for funds. I know with all of the ESSER, which is the school version of ARPA, I know a lot of people have been running that fund down. So I don't know what the state has available for the energy conservation grant. We can always submit it, apply for it, see what we get. There's just no guarantees, so.
And some of those grants are specific, like there might be a lighting one, there might be an energy savings insulation.
Yep, it's based on energy savings. It has to have a 10-year payback or less with energy savings. So we'll dig into it. We'll find out, maybe it's more of an area of lighting that works, so.
Okay.
Yep.
So if we qualify for the grant, we're also gonna get a payback in
Yeah.
10 years of reduced utility. costs.
Exactly.
Okay.
Yep,
So it's money up front, but we're gonna get it back in the long run.
right. Yep, and like I said, I can't guarantee what you're gonna qualify for yet. But once we get through the process, I'll work on figuring out what you might qualify for. Fill out the paperwork so you guys don't have to worry about it. You don't need another engineer or anything like that. I can sign it, send it to you, you send it in, and you're done. So we make it simple, so. And if there's anything else I can find out there, I'll do the same, so. I know, let's see, what was it Grant County, school in Grant County qualified for some FEMA funds, or, no, sorry, USDA. And we were able to do all the paperwork for them. But
Okay.
I don't believe in your county, the average median income would qualify you for that. I've checked into that.
Yeah, we're like number 5 in the state.
Yeah.
Which we didn't really drop, we just didn't increase as much as the
Right.
4 above us.
I know Center School did not qualify, so.
Yeah, they're
Can't
above us.
Yeah. Yep, so, but yeah, we'll see what we can do though.
Okay.
If we can reduce it, we will. One thing that I did change, well, I didn't change on the sheet, but Jim and I were talking about making sure all of the VAV boxes, the variable air volume boxes were covered. I went back to the mechanical contractor, talked to them. They did not have them covered. But I did not want to change your price. So I'm gonna eat some of that. I found a little bit of efficiency in the temperature controls. So between the two of it, we're gonna keep the same price for you and do more work, so.
Okay, and this fits your budget, Jim? Like what, this fits your budget for 22, what we're looking at?
We were,
Oh, the ARPA funds,
yeah,
okay.
I was
Yep.
like, this was, I think. we were
All
going
ARPA
through
funds,
our
yeah.
budget. I was like, what?
It'll be his budget next year, maybe?
Okay. Okay.
Where were you hiding this, Jim?
I'm just like, huh, Jim put $1 million in the budget. Huh? How did that squeak by?
One thing that I will suggest, I mean, this is just a phase one. There's still more needs that your facility needs. So looking at next year and the year after, it'd be good to look at building fund, however you want to do it, but just plan for those. Don't forget about them. So that's the only thing I'll caution you is we've got to look at things like boilers, chillers, some of those items that are still on here that we can't take care of yet.
Yeah, well, and once you know them and you have them identified, it's a lot easier to
Yes.
follow that plan.
Yep.
Getting to the plan is the hard part.
Right. And we'll keep working with you and Jim to identify any other issues that should arise or, as things come up, but we're taking care of a big chunk. I mean, we're doing all of the controls. Everything will be on a computer system for Jim to access and, like the new building is now, or a new portion of the building is, the rest of the building is all gonna be under the same system. We're gonna take care of the lighting issues in the jail area that were identified by the state, I believe. So that's gonna get taken care of. The rooftop units, it's nice and warm in here today. Last time you had space heaters back there.
Well,
I
you should
think-
have been here earlier, it was like 80 degrees. in
Oh,
here.
okay, it's too hot. So, well, we're gonna take care of that too, make it more level and even, but, we're taking care of those rooftop units. So it's a good first start, good plan for the first start, so.
Okay.
Jim, how do you feel about all of this? Does it seem like it,
These areas that are highlighted, minus the lighting, is what I've been requesting budget-wise for the past
So you feel it
These
covers,
are the main core issues that are really the problematic,
okay,
that we should really be looking at.
okay.
The only thing is, it's really hard to separate it out. I know Wayne had asked us too, could we do a little of this year, a little next year, but you could, but this, I call it the old courthouse, used to be, is probably our biggest problem, because there's electronics involved, and if one of the boards go out, it's done.
Yeah, cause there's no way to replace it, cause they don't have that anymore, right?
It
Okay.
doesn't support it anymore, and if you start in the LEC building, that's a bigger portion of this cost, because there's more involved. That you can't do just a portion of it, you have to, once you start, you gotta do the whole work.
Mhm.
Can't have two systems. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
we have three, yeah,
We got LEC, the new infill in this part.
and, you know, and one is pneumatic. One is old electronics that you can't remotely access.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
I'm reaching back into my memory, so you can please bear with
Mhm.
me if I'm
No
incorrect.
problem.
The basement units, I think I read last time that one of the main concerns there was noise.
Yes,
Okay, I see 3 basement units on here. Are those all being replaced because of antiquity or repair costs, or is it from noise?
so there was a little bit of both, but we've changed that. We're not gonna replace them. We're gonna do a refurbishment. So, it's noise, it's age, you know, the motors, you know, they get wear and tear, they run all the time. We're gonna replace the motors, the belts, look at all the dampers, look for any leaks in the piping, get everything kind of back into a refurbished condition. Get by you for a few more years. It's kind of like the truck you just talked about. Do you spend $500 now or spend $150,000? I mean,
Okay.
maybe now we spend that lower amount to refurbish and then look
Yeah.
8, 9, 10 years down the road at replacement.
On your sheet here, it says CFS 4A, B, and C.
Mm-hmm.
Number A, it looks like replacement. Is that still a replacement or is that a refurbishment? The cost that you have on there is 300,000.
CFS 4A isn't selected in the latest. Are you looking on the big sheet?
Just for the select, for the.
Just look at the green highlighted
Oh,
ones.
sure.
He's got the older, small one.
The smaller one, okay. So CFS 4A, that was a replacement. We're not doing that in the latest and greatest. If that makes sense.
And I believe that's probably the one you're talking about, the noisy issue, that's with
I
the.
can throw this away.
Oh,
In the hallway, a lot of times when they have meetings, they shut it off.
yep,
Right,
Yep.
yep.
right.
But they're, to me, these other issues are bigger.
Mhm.
'Cause there
Mhm.
isn't that many meetings down there per se, but.
Not no more.
It's just an annoyance when it is, it functions.
Mhm. It's more important to take care of these ones where you have to, if anything were to happen, we'd
Yep.
be.
Right, yeah.
And that's a lot smaller unit than these other ones also.
Oh,
And-
okay.
Take care of that meeting room is all it does.
Oh,
And if we take care of putting new bearings and motor in there, that might take care of a lot of the issue. So we're gonna do that with the refurbishment. So yes, CFS 4A and 4B, we're replacing the units due to age and noise and, you know, just kind of getting it cleaned up. 4C is just more of a refurbishment.
Okay, looking on this sheet on 4C, on your third bullet item down there, will you read that?
I don't have that in front of me.
Okay,
Can I?
it says, yeah, you have mine. We
Jim's
extra.
got his.
We
I
got
got it.
extra
We're
one.
good. 4C,
The third bullet, item says repair and hot or what, I'm not sure what. and-
oh,
Hot or chilled water leaks.
yeah, sorry, there's a typo in there. Yeah, so there's hot and chilled water piping in there,
Okay, water.
that feeds the unit. We're just gonna, if there's any leaks that are on the piping now,
Mhm.
we're gonna repair it, clean it up so that you're not dealing with leaks
Got it.
in a repaired unit. So,
All right.
does that make sense? Okay. Any other questions?
Yes, what's the next step in the process, Chris?
The next step would be to advertise in the paper that you may consider entering into a guarantee contract. And I think I sent you that advertisement already.
We have to run that 1 week.
It says there's no date in the century code,
That's right, I read that.
but I think just to give the public a fair chance, I think a full 7 days is
Okay.
fair.
We get
Yes, sir.
week paper.
Yeah, so I think putting it in the paper a week ahead of time is fair. Just to say that you may enter into a contract with us. You don't have to, you're not obligated to do that. And then make a motion at the next meeting if you want to do this. If you don't, there's still no cost to you. We just part ways and that's fine. Or we look at it in a future year, so. Totally your call.
Okay, any other questions? Do we have to do a motion to advertise, or how? Yeah, okay.
We're gonna advertise for everything on this big sheet then, right?
Everything that's in the green highlighted.
In the green.
Well,
You have,
you're not necessarily
What?
advertising
No.
for everything. You can
Right.
still
No.
make changes.
got
Okay.
it. So what I was gonna say is,
That we may enter.
May enter into a contract with Core Facility Solutions.
can we identify everything in green by assigning a project number to that so we can advertise? So when we make our motion, we can say per project number, or how do you want?
You really don't need to. I think the easiest way would be just to make a motion to advertise that you may enter into a guaranteed energy savings contract. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
And just leave it as one big project.
And if you wanted to add to that, I believe you could put in there interest and see what the project is. They could come to the
Yeah.
house to look at it.
Yep, I think that's in the advertisement that I sent you. It says for something to the effect, in fact, I got it. I know I do. Whoops.
We're not tied to these projects.
Yeah,
Right.
Okay, you're gonna have to read that motion back to me. I think you were writing it down, right?
No, we're just
Um,
doing it to-
in the advertisement, it says, "All persons desiring to be heard with reference to the possible award of the guaranteed energy savings contract may appear at the meeting. For further information, contact Shauna." Shanna, sorry, I do that all the time. I don't know why. I'm so sorry.
I'm sorry, you'll get it right.
I think because it's kind of spelled very similar. But yeah, contact you and that's it. I think that's what it says in there.
So you want a
Advertisement.
motion to publish the notice that we may enter a guarantee.
Into a guarantee energy
Guarantee
savings
savings
project with Core Facilities.
Yep.
Right.
That meets all your legal requirements. So Chris comes back for the next presentation, and in the meantime, you've got a huge public, no, don't wanna spend that money. And that sways the commission, you're good there. You got the normal, when the public is split, then you gotta do your job and decide what's in the best interest of the county, to do all, part, or change up.
Mhm.
Once
Mhm. Mhm.
it gives you all the freedom you need to make the right decision and get public input.
Yep.
This meets transparency minimums of the statute and exceeds that. And as you all know, I like when we exceed minimum requirements.
You have that motion pretty much in,
I think Shanna was writing it down, I was waiting. Is
Yeah.
that what you were doing, Shanna? Okay.
Do we need to set a date and time?
Yeah, I would say, or at the next, yeah, I would put
Are we
the
doing this at March sixth? Or
the next board meeting.
March second?
Yeah,
2 weeks? I don't think
Yeah.
that's enough, is it?
Yeah.
you can. I mean, you can go a month. It's up to you. It's totally in your court,
Just
so.
to know, on people responding, if 2 weeks is sufficient. How many weeks do we have to advertise? Just one? Okay,
One.
I thought it was 2 weeks.
We've kind of been following the process where we did the RFP, which gave notice that we were working on this
It's already
stuff.
been out
Then
there.
we've got to this, and then now we're
Yep.
doing notice again that taking
Actually,
the next
this
step.
meeting is extra.
Right.
We really don't need to hold this meeting, but I thought it was a good idea to make sure everyone's kind of on the same page and bring out more questions and bring out more information to the public and Yeah.
exceed the minimum requirements.
exceed the minimum requirements.
There we go.
So the motion reads, advertise that Mercer County may enter into a guaranteed energy savings contract with Core Facility Solutions on March second, or at the March second commission meeting at 10:30 a.m.
I so move.
And I'll
It's a lot to
second.
take in, yeah.
Okay. Motion by Marv, second by Liza. Any discussion?
Thanks, Shannon.
Any discussion? All right, Marv,
Aye.
Liza,
Aye.
Wayne,
Aye.
I'll vote aye. That motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chris.
If there's any other questions, don't hesitate to let us know.
Anybody got a plane they wanna borrow us right now?
A plane?
We're heading east.
We gotta head to Wyndmere now.
All you do is gotta get up in the air and go, right?
Right?
We are going with the wind.
Winemere, huh?
Gee, I think there's one idling at the airport. I'm ready for you.
I'm in a hot air balloon.
Hot air balloon.
All right,
Oh, he left early.
we have the others left, the fundings.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thanks, gentlemen.
Go ahead.
Thank you.
Board members, I put a couple things on the agenda, and I'll go through them as quickly as we can. I attended a Zoom meeting with the DACO, and they had some really, really good information. I'm not sure that you can still go to it. I did request that I could review it again, and they put it out there till the 18th for myself.
Yep, I have it for the 18th.
So I've looked at it 3 times. So I got some notes. Your guys' sheets don't have the notes, but I'll put some notes on there as we walk through there. But prior to that, I want to mention one thing on the portfolio sheet. There was a correction. Please use what Shanna handed out today, not what was in the mail, in the packet.
I didn't hand it out. I forgot to take extension. He had extension under him twice.
Yeah, just
Oh.
cross me off, the
Okay.
extension. All right, let's just update that sheet. All right, I'm gonna walk through this, and this was done by Terry Trainer and Linda Sohovic. And first they talked about the state ARPA, and then there's also the federal ARPA. There's 2 different funds that we get. In the very first sheet there, you can't see the page number, but it is page 2. Go to page 2. All that they really are showing us there is that we can use the state money, and it's primarily set up, we have 1.45 million on that. It's primarily set up for roads and bridges. And particularly, they want to use it for bridges. What Terry suggested, look to the state ARPA money for bridges first. If not all used on bridges, go to your roads.
Hopefully it's this one.
So it's 1,452,933, and you'll see that later on, so you don't need to write that down. One thing with the state, and I'll repeat that later on another slide here. The Department of Transportation's guidelines are not out yet. So they said, use caution on allocating those funds. And then Terry says, use the federal ARPA, because you can use that for any and all government services. I'm on page 3 now. It just, basically all they're telling you is that we received some money from the federal, and we're gonna receive the balance 1 year after the first 50% was received. And we received $795,115. So in July, we're gonna receive the same amount, so we're gonna end up with federal ARPA of $1,590,229. Page 4, one thing they want to point out there is the final rules were adopted on January 6th, but Linda said you're free to allocate this money at any time. We have to have it allocated, if that's the right word, or pick what we're going to use it for by the end of '24, and it has to be all spent by the end of '26. You can't use it for previous bills. He circled the public sector revenue loss, and it says government service, and all that he said is, and they mentioned a special note that it can be used for ambulance, siren, and public safety. Page 5, I already covered the first part, we can use the money now. Now, Shannon prepared a revenue loss calculation, and I believe it was 0, right? Had we put in a number for that, it wouldn't matter, because the first time we file a report, we could change it and correct it, and that's what Linda Solvick is telling us out there. Our entire funding that our county receives from the federal is considered lost revenue, we can use it all. And it can be used on general government services. I don't know if anybody wants to call Alicia and see if they want to review that. It's really good tape. Page 6, I don't have any additional information on there. Up to $10 million is given to 49 counties. There's 4 counties that have a little bit more than that. They have different rules. We don't receive 10 million, so, but it says all of it can be used. Page 7, it talks more about that revenue loss calculation and what you can use, and you can use, don't have to use the same one. Well, that's under the 3rd bullet down there. Where it says, if your county previously declared 0 for revenue loss in the interim report, the county may change and update this number at the first project expenditure report. Reports are due at the end of April and they're due annually. That's all that's really going to emphasize on that page. Like I said, I'm walking through this really fast. I have some points I'll try to make at the end of this. Replacing lost revenue on page 8 has some exceptions. And on the one that says new activity that conflicts with the purpose of the American Rescue Plan, Linda said she really doesn't know what that would be. I don't know what that would be either. And they didn't go too much farther than she said, I don't know. But she did talk about some of those other ones. But she did also specifically mention some of the uses, and some of these you might want to write down or not. It's up to you guys. Uses that we can use the money for. Construction of a hospital or school, road maintenance, health services, general government services, environmental remediation, police, first responders, new fire trucks, new police vehicles, new motor graders, software changes. She said this is a really good opportunity to pay for county things that have been put on hold due to lack of funding. And when I get to the next sheet, you'll see how much we actually have, and it's a sit-down number. It's a lot. Page 9, Linda, I think I used her words when I say that she said for state ARPA funding, House Bill 1505, proceed with caution. The North Dakota guidelines are not out yet, and they'll be out shortly, and then we can allocate that money at that time. Terry talked about that a little bit too on the very first slide. On page 10, annual reporting, that applies to our county. We have to submit counties. Now, Linda said that she had a meeting with the state auditor, and I don't want to quote her, and I don't say that I am. The way I understood what she was saying is that she had a meeting with the state auditor and recommended that separate funds be set up for both the ARPA and the 1505 funds. Terry also emphasized that we are going to be audited, and that they want to be able to report to the state what all the counties spent this money on. And depending on how well we do, depends how much funds we may get in the future. And there might be some additional training, and probably, I should say, additional training coming to assist with reporting. And that'll come from NACO, National Association, and North Dakota Association. They emphasize that we have to have good reporting, and that they recommend that you have a separate fund for both of those, the federal and the 1505, individually. There on the last page, on page 11, it talks about the timeline when we have to have the money allocated and when it has to be spent by. Now they mentioned, she gave an example. You can buy a new motor grader, but you can't use the money to pay down a loan on one that you've already purchased. because, the cost must be obligated by December 31st. Oh, no, that's not the right, what I'm trying to say. They have a date in here someplace that anything that was incurred.
January.
Huh?
It was January,
I think it was May something. That was May something. If the money had to be, if the cost was incurred prior to that date, you can't use it. Okay,
January sixth, well, it was January something, I was in on this meeting.
okay. Okay, so I went through that in a rush.
Oh, on or after March third, 2021.
Yep, I was gonna say it's March 3rd.
March 3rd, okay. So the costs have to be incurred after that. It was a very, very good and informative Zoom meeting. Now, Zoom meetings are, to me, they're exhausting. But I watched it 3 times since then. Now, this handout that I gave you with all the monies on it, here's the state revenue report. You can pull this up anytime you want to. And I can't think of the guy's name. I called down there just to make darn sure I was doing everything right. One thing on the very top, it says ARPA federal distribution. Those 2 lines, that does not come from the state. I just inserted that. So that isn't from the state. That's how much money we're going to get from our ARPA federal distribution. Then you're going to see House Bill 1505, we're going to get 1.45 million there. And the rest of it's just historical information. It shows like coal conversion went up in 21 versus 20, and it goes all the way down through 19. It shows all the different funds that we received from the state. But I want to take you to the back page. This goes with what Linda emphasized. We have a golden opportunity. Altogether, we've been given $4.7 million that we need to allocate and use as wisely as we possibly can. The ARPA funds need to be reported very accurately. Let's see what else I have on my notes here. So it's been recommended by NADACO. I also asked for this in the past, but that's history. I'm gonna make a motion based on the information that we received from NADACO, Terry, Trina, and Linda, that our county set up separate funds for this money and we track it and do a really good job. How did Todd say it? We wanna beat the minimum requirement. We wanna exceed is your word. You have a bigger word than I do. But we wanna exceed the minimum. Let's do the best job we can. So moving with the best foot forward. I move that Mercer County, and I'll give a copy of this to Shanna. I move that Mercer County create separate funds. One for House Bill 1505, state ARPA funds, and a second fund for the federal ARPA funds for specific reporting of the use of these funds.
Okay, motion by Marv, is there a second? Is there a second? I'll second that motion so we have discussion. Any discussion?
Well, wouldn't we, aren't we doing this naturally? I
I was
mean,
gonna say, isn't this something we're already doing?
we had gotta be accountable to the federal government for where these funds go. That was from 101. I mean, any bridge funding or any road funding, that's gotta be, they come into audit. We have to provide
Answers question 9 now.
the receipts and balance and receipts where these funds went. And, now 1505, I would would assume that that's what we're gonna do with that one also. I'm not the auditor, but I don't know.
Can I ask you a question, Wayne?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you have this sheet in front of you?
Yes,
Show me where it says ARPA or 1505 on those funds. You're saying we're already doing it. It should be listed on this sheet. It should be that transparent. What we're looking for is transparency, not do we have it someplace. Look on your sheet and tell me if we have 1505 or ARPA on it.
We have the one that's the total CARES funding.
That's all ARPA funding in that. That's
But it says CARES, it doesn't say
Well,
ARPA.
I can change the wording for you.
Thank you. That's all I'm asking, is that we fulfill what NADACO recommends.
I was just gonna say, I'll find it, just give me
Yeah.
a second.
Yeah,
I
so-
just gotta find where it says cares.
Yeah, it's on the first page. It's
First
like the
page.
fourth, fifth one,
Fifth one.
cause that's got the 795, one
Yep, there,
14,
yep.
50.
Right there.
So we'd have to
Cares funding.
rename it?
Well,
I guess,
we could
or-
rename it or create another fund. Now, the reason, and Shannon can, if we've already had transactions under the CARES funding, we don't want those to go away by changing the name. We want to create a new fund, so that we have historical, what would happen in CARES is historical, and then
Happened
what,
in CARES was the whole amount was deposited, and then the board took the whole amount out and transferred into the general fund where it was initially supposed to be put.
right, and then some was
That's
put,
the only transaction that's in that fund. So yes, I can change the letters.
To just say ARPA.
okay. So anyhow,
Right.
my motion, Wayne,
Okay.
is to be very specific and follow the recommendation, not just of myself, which we've talked about in the past, it's been recommended by NADACO again. So that's why I make the motion.
So Marv's motion was to create two separate funds, but we essentially have one fund, we just need to rename it.
Long.
So I'm just, yeah, so do we wanna re-clarify?
That
Okay.
I put all of House Bill 1505 into Fund 2127, and that generally has one transaction a year, one. So I'm pretty certain that we can still utilize that fund and keep very, very close track of what we're spending House Bill 1505 on.
What was the number of that one again, Shannon?
2127.
So every year we have transfers out of 2127 into the general road fund 2104.
I don't know if every year we do, it depends on what the balance in there is, and I don't even know if there is.
So 3 years from now, 4 years, when we're gone, and we have a balance in there of,
It's very specific on my paperwork in my office, on my balance transfer sheet.
it's not transparent on these sheets that we have right here. What I'm looking for is, it's,
Well, I don't even have to do those sheets, that's the whole thing. That's just
Okay.
like a-
what, this sheet duplicates what we have in our AS 400, what we have for fund names. So I have it in my office, it should be on the AS 400 financial and taxware software also. When I ask for a fund balance report, I shouldn't have to call the auditor and say, what did you do with these transactions? It should be that transparent. That's why we have separate funds. That's why we have all these other funds listed, so that we have some transparency. We don't group them. All I'm asking is just for, all I'm asking is for something very specific and clean. And
Okay.
it exceeds the minimal requirements.
Okay, the motion as stated was that we create, two additional funds, one for the ARPA money, one for the House Bill 1505.
You can,
Was it?
please continue, but I did not say additional. If she, I said two separate funds. If she wants to change the name on that one and it's easier, I just want two separate funds.
Okay.
So did the ACO recommend that.
Okay. Any further discussion on the motion? Any further discussion? Marv?
Aye.
Wayne?
Oh, you said.
You seconded it.
I know I second. Okay. I'm gonna say nay. Wayne?
I'll say nay.
Liza?
Nay.
Okay, that motion fails. Any other items?
Can I get a copy of that, Marvin?
Absolutely. Let me finish what I'm doing here. I got some more scribbles on it. I added some stuff when I got to the meeting here. Okay, the second thing has to do with audit findings. And we had 3 audit findings, and nothing major, but the second audit finding had quite a few adjustments. And some of those were, when you total them all together, the audit adjustments were about a little over 970,000. The client adjustments looked like, from what the way I read it, 1.4 million, just adjustments in our bookkeeping systems. Number 2 finding, that was number 2 finding. The first finding, which to me would be more critical, is that we don't have tax and financial software. So, I'm gonna make a motion on that again. Because we have these ARPA funds, and they are available now, it isn't a budget concern, now we have ARPA funds that are available for government services. I move that Mercer County commit $250,000 of the federal ARPA money to be used for acquiring and implementing a financial and tax software for Mercer County. We have the funds, and it is a finding.
Motion by Marv to allocate ARPA funds for financial software.
Yep.
Okay, is there a second? Is there a second? All right, one more time, is there a second? Seeing no second, that motion fails. Anything else, Marv?
No, sir.
Anything else from the board?
No?
Seeing no further business, meeting adjourned.
Thank you.
I just need that one, if I can just jot it down here, that one. Just need it. Okay.
Can you put your other hat on and stop by my office?
I can. Yep.
Careful, she's carrying a gun today. You do? Oh, sorry, I should hide from you too.
Only if you have a guilty conscience, right?
Well, here's the deal, you never need
Tricks.
a gun till you need one really, really, really bad. And a gun's like an insurance policy, you get the best one that you can afford, and pray to God you never need it. Every officer I've ever met, every good officer, agrees with that 100%. And by the way, every one of our law enforcement in Mercer County agree with that. They hope the only time they have to touch it is qualifying and cleaning.
Or training.
Training, that's the fun part, right?